How's everybody doing this morning?
Welcome back to our coffee chats. This one's a little special. Why is it special, Jeff?
Because we're tell our story of how long we've been married.
Well, we are celebrating our 37th anniversary. So when you see this, it'll be our anniversary.
Anniversary, yes.
And so we thought we would come and tell you the story, our love story, of how we met and how we got to 37 years. We try not to make it too long. Right, Jeff?
Yes, ma'am.
So we're here at the beautiful park under the pavilion because it looked like rain. So we're not sure. We got our coffee. Jeff's favorite Dunkin' Donuts coffee. It's what he loves. So every once in a while, I let him have it. Right?
Drink or don't drink, that is the question.
So we'll get right to the story of how we met. But the funny thing is, the story begins before we even met, doesn't it, Jeff?
Yeah.
Because Jeff, as a teenager, high schooler,
Yep.
had a dream. And what was your dream, Jeff?
One day I would marry a girl named Beth.
Can you believe that he had a dream that one day he'd marry a girl named Beth? So I think that's how our destiny started, was
Yep.
he brought me to him,
Yeah.
right? So the very first day we met, I was a bartender.
Yes, you were.
And I was one of those bartenders that the boss always said I was kind of mean to to the customers. So I would say I was just mean to the drunks because I was only, what, 19? 19.
Yep.
And I didn't have patience for some of the things I had to do with. So they would just make me stock the cooler, make sandwiches. I didn't often be asked to go out and tend bar. But this day was a special day. It was a rainy day.
Yes.
And what were you doing?
We were working and they sent us home.
What kind of work were you doing?
Construction.
He was a construction worker. And it was a rainy day, so they all came home. They came off work early and walked into this little pub that I was working in, and voila, there I was. And there was Jeff.
Yep.
How'd that go, Jeff, when you saw me?
Well, for somebody to stock coolers, I'd order beers I knew you didn't have, but you went and looked anyways.
You had to get my attention because apparently he was attracted to me right away, right?
Yeah.
You didn't know my name yet, though.
No, I didn't know your name.
So he would, and what did we have to wear? What was our uniforms? Do you remember?
They were skimpy shorts.
Skimpy shorts that we wore. And I wore nylons under mine. And he'd ask for a beer. And I was pretty naive, too. I was only 19 and trying to be a bartender. I didn't know what I was doing. But he knew what he was doing because he had been at this bar an awful lot and recognized right away I was new.
Yeah.
And he'd ask for a beer that he knew that they didn't have. And if it wasn't a tap beer, it was kept in a cooler.
Yep.
So I would have to bend over in the cooler and look for a beer, which is what the point was, for him to get me to bend over.
Smart man.
But being a naive, young 19-year-old girl, it took me till the third time getting ready to bend over in the cooler of going, wait a minute. This guy is up to something. And I literally looked at you and I yelled at him because I realized what he was doing. And I don't know exactly what I said. I just kind of got mad and told you off.
Pretty much go home.
Go home, don't you have a wife or something like that to
Let her
take care of you or something?
Yeah.
Something. And his brother was with him, his brother Terry. And what did he say? Do you remember? Right away.
He says, that's going to be your wife someday.
He says, that'll be your wife someday. And I said, over my dead body would I marry a bum like that, right? That was our first day interaction.
Yeah.
And then you went on your merry way, and I went on my merry way.
But I was a smart bum.
He was a smart bum.
I got you to look 3 times.
Yeah, he got me to look 3 times because he knew I was a naive, young 19-year-old. But then suddenly had never met before, but we run into each other at the same apartment complex,
Yeah.
right? And we realized we live in the same apartment complex. And right away, he was like on hot pursuit to get me to go out on a date with him.
Well, I think the whole story started with somebody coming over and saying, "Do you have a cigarette?"
Are you talking about at the pool?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He thinks.
I
was
know.
pregnant. I just needed a cigarette, maybe.
Maybe.
But do you remember getting drunk?
Because you were excited. You saw me.
So he got
Yeah.
really drunk one day. He'd asked me out a couple of times. But I never really answered right away, did I? I just said maybe. I think about it. I kind of played a little.
Yeah, you kept
Hard
saying,
to
yeah,
get.
you kept saying one of these days, we can do it someday. We'll
So
figure
he gets
something
really
out.
drunk and comes over. I was in the laundry room doing laundry, and my brother was there with me,
Yeah.
and he says, as he can't barely stand up, he says, "You said that maybe you'll go on a date with me. I don't know, you're mumbling something about going out on a date, blah, blah, blah." And my brother says, "Well, do you want me to do something?" And I said, "No, because one push with my finger and he's going to be on the ground." But actually, I thought it was kind of cute after he left. And my brother was going to defend me.
I was standing pretty well for somebody who was drunk.
He liked to drink back then, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
usually have one in my
He
hand.
was cutie, though. Those beautiful blue eyes, right?
That's what they
He
say.
thinks so, yeah. He
That's
thinks
what
he
they
was
say.
all hot stuff back then, let me tell you.
No thinking.
I was pretty good looking, too, at 19.
Especially when you've been over the cool.
He's bad. He was bad back then. He still is, let me tell you, on that stuff. But he, so after that, I think I gave in and finally said, yeah, I'd go on a date, right?
Yep.
And he'd asked me, he was very old-fashioned, even though he was inappropriate, he was very old-fashioned, and he very wanted to ask me where I wanted to go. Now, you'd mind, I'm a country girl coming from the hills of Pennsylvania. I don't really know what fancy is or anything. So I chose Red Lobster.
Yep.
And I thought, let's see if he could handle taking me to Red Lobster. So he did. And he made fun of me on our very first date.
No, I didn't fun of you.
Yes, you did, Jim. You made fun of me. What'd you make fun of me for?
For eating with your fingers.
For eating with my fingers. I was eating shrimp. Do you not eat shrimp with your fingers? No.
I cut the tail off.
So you have to understand me. I just eat with my fingers. I had no, I don't know what you would call it, but just whatever. I didn't give it a thought. And he's over there cutting everything up with the fork and a knife, taking little bites. And I thought, well, this guy's a little strange. But we got through our first date, which led to multiple dates.
Yeah.
And then we didn't date too much, right? Just a
Yeah.
few dates. And then before we knew it, we kind of already had talked a little bit that maybe we should get married. I don't know why, we just thought, well, maybe we should get married. We had known each other maybe 2 months by this time we're talking about getting married. And then his dad happens to come on vacation.
From Pennsylvania.
And he gets this bright idea. He's like, well, if you guys are going to get married and we're already made this trip down here, why don't you get married while we're here? And so,
Never save everybody a trip.
so Jeff and I being we make no plans, fly by the seat of our pants kind of people at that point. We don't know what the hell we're doing, but we're good. So we agreed, hey, yeah, well, if we're going to get married, might as well just get married. So we got married, right, on your lunch hour. He worked half a day that day.
Yep, we got trusted on 3 houses.
We were married at my brother's house.
Yep.
We got a little ring, right? You remember that?
Yep.
What did we pay for your set and my set? Maybe $300 altogether.
It was on sale, I remember that. It was a jeweler's.
He
It
did
was
give me
nice.
a little engagement ring. I think we might have got engaged for a couple weeks before we got married. Very.
And it wasn't a shotgun wedding, trust me.
No, they were giving you money to take me away. So yeah, I'm the little sister of 5 older brothers. So, so I borrowed a dress. I borrowed flowers. We had this tiny little cake, right? A bowl of potato chips and maybe some punch. I remember.
Yep.
And my one brother, he was a little eccentric. I don't know. He could get a little crazy with me sometimes. So I didn't let them meet until the wedding day, and we got married at his house. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And I remember I'm in the back getting ready,
She was
and
tearing
I
the walls
hear
down.
him knocking at the door. And mind you, he got dressed for the wedding, and his brother sent him back and had to dress him because he didn't know. He says you can't get married looking like that, so I don't even know what he looked like prior to that. So we were a real mess. And then my brother says, "Oh, so you're the one marrying my sister?" And
Yep.
like that's how they met at the door. At the door, it wasn't even like I was out there introducing them or anything. So all I remember is when the music was playing and I walked out. What were you thinking? Because he was sweating.
I was trying to figure out what was going on because I kept hearing things going crash and boom.
That's because when I come down the hallway with my other brother was walking me out. I hit a picture that was on the wall and it spun around and flipped off the wall. And I just kept going. And Jeff was out there sweating. He's just standing there sweating. I'm like, is he regretting what he's about to do? What were you thinking at that moment?
Going this far, I'm not turning around.
Believe me, neither of us knew each other at all. Maybe that's what worked, because
Right.
we didn't know each other. So
So we dated her for part of our marriage.
yeah, we were just dating while we were married. So we got married. We had a little piece of cake, all that, whatever. Everybody goes back to work or does whatever they do. Jeff and I leave,
Yep.
and your little blue bug, right? You have your little blue beetle bug.
Volkswagen.
Volkswagen.
Volkswagen Beetle.
And guess where he took me to? Where'd you take me to?
McDonald's.
McDonald's, right?
I knew she had to eat with her fingers again.
So he takes us to McDonald's drive-through, and we get fish sandwiches.
And then drove across the street to the brew-through.
And then we drove across the street to the brew-through and got a cup of beer.
Yeah, I got a big gulp of beer. I was a drinker back then. I had to have something to drink.
And then we went back to the apartment where you and your brother and your friend Jeff and his best friend Jeff and his brother Terry lived. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And then what happened then? Do you remember?
You got dressed and went to go see Nana.
I took off my dress and went and spent the afternoon with my girlfriend Diane, a cook, right?
Yep.
And that was our wedding day.
I
Right?
drank my beer.
That was special.
Away she went. I ate my fish sandwich and drank my beer.
And that's how we started our life, right?
Yeah.
And then I already had my daughter
Yes.
that became our daughter, which is another way you got me, because he was very kind. We came as a couple, and he never said, "Can you leave her at home?" He'd always say, "Where does she want to go? What does she want to do?" He always included her, which really melted my heart and really kind of cemented the deal for you.
She was important.
You know, right from the beginning, even with his family, she was important, and that meant a lot. And it wasn't easy getting married at 19 to someone I didn't know. And he's the baby of his family, and I'm the baby of my family. And we have no idea what we're doing. And we had lots of ups and downs. We had 3 more sons after that. So we had 4 children altogether that we were raising in all these years. Besides, we always say we were raising each other. We had to raise each other. So some days went really well, other days didn't go so well.
Well, some days were very tough.
You know, but we made them through, right?
Yep.
What brought you home every day?
Food.
Yeah. Because he did marry someone that could cook for him. That's a pretty good cook for a country girl.
Yeah.
Not that I knew how to cook everything. I had to learn as we went. And what would happen when I made something and I didn't think it was good enough?
She'd throw it away and start over.
I would. I was just obsessed with serving you the perfect dish every time.
Yeah. Unless I come home late and then she sits there and just dump it in the garbage in front of me.
I had a temper. He had a temper. So if he didn't call me to tell me he was going to be late and I took the time to make his dinner, it kind of made me mad.
Kinda.
And then I would throw his meals in the garbage. So
37 years later, I still hear about it.
Yeah. But that is the story how we met and how we've managed to get through 37 years. Sometimes it seems like, oh my God, it's been forever. And then other times it's like, how did 37 years pass us by? But here we are, 37 years now, no more kids at home, we're empty nesters, and we're starting a new chapter in our lives.
And I had a full head of hair when back we got married too.
And I wasn't gray. And I was pretty thin too.
Yeah.
Oh, life, right?
Yeah.
But we've learned to forgive, forget. I don't know if we forget as much as we've had to forgive. And make it work, right?
Yep.
It took two of us to make this work, but it wasn't easy by no means.
You know, of course, they'll give you a manual when you go to school and teach you how to do this.
It's still not always easy, right? We just learn to not let things bother us or not react to things that we were used to when we were younger, right?
Now she lets me have coffee.
We have to work together now. Now we really have to work together because we don't have the busyness of life and raising kids and jobs. And we're trying to build a new chapter in our lives, right? So we're trying to build a YouTube channel, right? Sharing, not only sharing, but this is like for us leaving a legacy behind for our kids and our grandchildren and our great-children. I mean, you know, back in the days, our parents couldn't do this, but what we would do now to be able to see our parents on film talking and seeing who they were and what they were about. So for us, it's really just leaving ourselves behind when we're not here anymore either, and sharing our story with everybody. And we appreciate all of you out there who are listening, and I hope we are entertaining you because we kind of crack ourselves up sometimes. And we can be a little hysterical sometimes, so you'll see that as we go.
Yeah.